The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is one of the most complex public institutions in the world and responsible for the region's airports, bridges, tunnels, ports, and transit systems that millions rely on every day. By 2017, that responsibility weighed heavily. Decades of underinvestment, rising demand, and public frustration had taken their toll. The challenges were visible, the scrutiny was intense, and the work ahead left little room for missteps. Rick Cotton became executive director of the Port Authority in August of 2017, at a moment that demanded steady leadership and clear direction. Working with Chairman Kevin O'Toole, Vice Chairman Jeff Linford, and the Board of Commissioners, agency leadership, and a workforce of extraordinary skill and dedication, the focus was on restoring confidence, both internally and externally, and on delivering for the region. What the moment required was credibility, competence, and calm. The ability to operate across New York and New Jersey, across federal, state, and local government, and across disciplines as varied as engineering, finance, law, construction, and technology. Rick brought those qualities to the role and helped guide the Port Authority through one of the most consequential chapters in its history.
This is not some magic trick where our airports went from worst to best with the tap of a wand. But it is an extraordinary story, a story of opportunity, high ambition, and ultimately of an institution that seized a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform our region's gateways.
And we had a meeting, we said, what do you want to do? We're going to get along, we're going to build things, we're going to absolutely have the past of the Port Authority be the past, the future is the future, we're going to do it. I will tell you that Rick Cotton is the most unbelievable, the most responsible, the most driven, the most committed, the most ethical, transparent executive director, public servant I've ever worked with in 40 years. He is the reason we have all this. He is the leader of the Port Authority. I ask you to welcome our leader, our visionary, Rick Cotton.
Kevin and I formed a true and uniquely fruitful partnership that focused on getting things done in the service of our region and based on the priorities of our region.
None of the successes we've had over the last 8 years would have happened without that partnership. And what that really means is setting the conditions between the two states to ensure that everybody wins. And that has not been the history of the Port Authority, at least in recent memory.
Over the years that followed, including an unprecedented global pandemic, the Port Authority undertook one of the most ambitious periods of rebuilding in our history. Tens of billions of dollars invested in the airports, long delayed projects moving forward, expectations about what could be delivered permanently raised.
Rick didn't approach the Port Authority as a collection of assets. He approached it as a set of experiences, lived every day by millions of people.
Many of his friends and colleagues will talk about his determination, his work ethic, his attention to detail, his intensive management of third-party contractors, consultants, business partners. But for me, what that really is a concrete example of is Rick's commitment to collaboration, to partnership, and to approaching the leadership of a bi-state agency on a regional basis, something that is no easy feat.
Best in class has been Rick Cotton's guiding principle, one he has consistently carried throughout his tenure at the Port Authority.
Systematically through the customer experience quarterly forums, bringing everyone together, focusing on key performance metrics, focusing on the metrics that are important to customers, like ASQ, and looking at customer experience, wait times, and all of those issues, and holding ourselves accountable, because that was actually the key issue with a lot of our partners.
We are now moving in a direction that not only focuses on the goods or the vehicles that we use to move the region, but really the people and their experience during the move.
That mindset showed up in places most people would overlook, but customers never forget.
When I arrived back here at the Trade Center, Rick was deep into customer experience, but I didn't know how deep until we started talking toilets.
Seeing a non-working elevator or a dirty bathroom drives me crazy.
So when we first started taking some of that data, we were at about 57% satisfaction. And happy to say now today we're at minimum 90%. And that's our standard, 90 to 95%. We've renovated every single existing restroom, and all the new restrooms conform to the new Port Authority standards. You know, they gave me the quick nickname of the Prince of Porcelain from all the work that Rick was having me do on restrooms.
So Rick also recognized that in order to get big things done, you had to focus on all of the unglamorous aspects of running a 100-plus-year-old organization. He has an uncanny ability to isolate process pain points. He would relentlessly focus on improving these historically problematic areas, things like invoice processing or business certifications. And I think it was this foundational work, it was constantly happening in the background, that supported our agency's ability to move quickly on so many mega projects at once.
His mastery of detail, his ability to recall numbers, his ability to recall precedents, his knowledge of names of people, of partners, not only staff.
He never asked you to do anything that he wasn't prepared to do. And so when someone shows up like that, then you want to do for them. You know, you want to accomplish the task.
From my standpoint as a superintendent of police, his commitment to public safety has been paramount. The investment that the director has made, the support he has made, we are the largest we've ever been as a police agency, and nobody else does what we do. So I am eternally grateful for that.
No matter what I call him on, no matter what time, day, night, or early morning, he's just on the game. He has the answer, he gives the very direct instructions about what his desires are, and then he always asks, because at the end of the thing is, Greg, do you need anything?
His stamina for a day's worth of work is legendary. He doesn't stop at 12 hours. I don't think he stops at all. But I really wanted to get in at the early morning hours. So I asked him if he was open-minded to have rooster calls. And we all know when roosters get up. So not only was Rick open-minded about that, but there were spontaneous calls, which I received from Rick, asking whether it was too early for a rooster call. And just for the record, I think it was before the real roosters were up.
Every little detail matters to him, and when you're going over, the board work, he makes sure that every word, every comma, everything has to be in order. He brings a sense of perfection without overdoing it to this place. He has really made us all better leaders, better employees, better colleagues, and he has just brought us to a different league.
One of my first interactions with him, we were talking about a customer messaging project, and I had told him that we were modeling what we did after something someone else has done, and he said, "What made you think that repeating a bad idea is a good idea?" It was funny, but also really made me realize you don't just, blindly do things because they've been done in the past, but really think about why you're doing things and the impact you're having.
Right, in terms of what my biggest takeaway is about Rick and his leadership, it would be his continuous focus on preparation, on delivery, accountability, and most importantly, on the customer. In terms of a Rickism, well, I can't forget how he would call me out by my name. Diane, 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 Diane. If it was only 3 times, I was in pretty good shape. When it would become 5 Dianes in a row, I knew I was in hot water. So one of the things I'll remember is that rather than tell my team that Rick was right, I started telling my team that Rick wasn't wrong.
Rick has been enormously successful in being able to react quickly, thoughtfully, and with excellence to accommodate all the changes in the world. And he has been able to absorb everything from the winter storm Grayson through COVID, where of course he was our national poster child of the first victim, all the way through the current changes in the previous, but always there's been a relentless desire to get things done.
He's always one who says, bring problems out early. Hiding problems are not a good approach. And so he's the type of person who will take a problem, help you dissect it, think about it, and he's very thoughtful. And so he will stop and think, and there'll be long pauses of silence, and everybody expects that, but when he speaks, it comes with such weight that I think people feel like they're getting extremely good advice.
Clearly he's sui generis, which means he's unique, rara avis, which means he's a rare bird, and we are lucky to have him leading the flock.
Customer first also meant paying attention to people who rarely get the microphone, but keep the system running.
He made himself available to sit down with the drivers, to hear their grievances and concerns directly. And he didn't do it for a photo op, not for press, not because he had to. He did it just to listen, to really listen, with the intent of making things better for the drivers who serve our airports every day. And it felt like Rick really rooted for them with genuine respect and regard.
Rick fundamentally understands that community engagement is not only the right thing to do, but it's critically important to advancing the agency's mission.
Going out to talk to constituencies and communities can often elicit, let's just say, passionate opinions. Nowhere was this approach tested more than at the Midtown Bus Terminal, a project debated for decades and stalled at every level.
We presented that to the community, and it was a resounding over our dead body. We will fight this tooth and nail every step of the way because you are not righting the historic wrongs that were created by this facility when it was first built, and the wrongs that have been exacerbated as the bus traffic has increased, as commuting has increased. So what happened was we went out and we listened. We held hundreds of meetings with community stakeholders. We went from over our dead body to unanimous approval at the community board.
So Rick has really taken the philosophy that no big project can get done without heavily involving the community. And I think that's been a sea change for how the Port Authority has worked in the past. And as a result, we've organized ourselves to work very collaboratively with the community to ensure that that everyone wins, that there are jobs, that there are investments in the community, that there are real sensitivities to getting business opportunities to the community, which are at the forefront of our thinking when we work on a very large project now.
This is a public-private partnership. I'm here to tell you that we would not be where we are without the focus, without the determination, without the leadership, Rick Cotton.
I feel like the LaGuardia Airport redevelopment was exemplary reflection of Rick's leadership and vision. His leadership led us through that program and developed a clear roadmap for how we redevelop airports in an operating environment. That roadmap was then taken and reflected at Newark and now at JFK and has been emulated actually across the country.
I love to talk and think about all of the number of times that Rick would meet world-renowned architects, and they would come in and talk about the nuanced way that they brought in the state or the city into their design, and watch him stop them and tell them no one is going to understand anything of what you just said.
There's no problem that's too small. When we had a columnist in the New York Times write about a very bad trip he had in Newark, he said, let's go for a ride. And we went back and retraced the walkway of the individual through the bathrooms, to the walkway, to the air train. And we said, we have to make it better.
Opening up the Northeast Corridor Station Access Project and setting the vision for a new Newark airport.
Rick set a new bar for customer service at the Port Authority. I can remember consistently meeting at the airport at 5:30 in the morning with Rick to do a walkthrough. And later, as the construction moved on, we would make sure that all the consistencies of the terminal was up to the standard that Rick was looking for.
The new terminals could not be generic. They could not be charmless. They could be anywhere facilities. Each had to evoke a distinctly New York or New Jersey sense of place. That is why we commission professionally curated world-class public art installations. It is also why we curated local concessions, offering authentic and distinctive cuisine. It is why we sought out inspiring, engaging wow moments, like LaGuardia's now famous Laser Light Fountain Show, particularly popular with the younger set, to elevate the experience.
Rick supports the team, and the team wants to succeed for him. That motivation is powerful. It is rare, and it has defined JFK's ability to persevere, excel during one of the most demanding periods in its history.
Rick Cotton, who comes to me with the most brilliant ideas, and I always say, Rick, you had me at hello. I mean, I want to build, I want to do more, I want to show our audacity, our ambition, to remind people how great we are. I want to thank you for extraordinary leadership for many, many years.
Courageous leadership, brave, without the politics. He's real, he's authentic, he's a true visionary, and I think there's once in a lifetime I've seen a leader and that person looks and acts like Rick Cotton, and it is Rick. He is, again, he has really redefined what a public servant is.
Extraordinary leadership, all of our external transformative projects, but equally important, I've borne witness to his tireless leadership of the more than 8,000 Port Authority employees.
He didn't need to be here. He chose to be here, and he chose to come in and show us what being a real leader embodies.
The great thing is, Rick has instilled in me and others like me the knowledge that we must continue that legacy and we must pursue that greatness with a relentless passion that he has instilled in all of us.
The way Rick proved that government can work and we can deliver projects in a timely fashion, that what we promise we deliver.
The impact of this period is visible across the region. Projects delivered, momentum real. But what endures is the standard. A port authority that knows it can deliver at scale. A workforce confident that excellence isn't aspirational, it's expected. Rick Cotton met the moment, and he left the institution ready for what comes next.
I am honored to have played a part in this story, to have worked alongside so many extraordinary people, and who had the chance to help shape a city and a region for the future.